Today what I've got going on is I've got a long thin piece of hardboard which I've got out of an old frame that I bought from a charity shop. I renovated the frame, so I'll show you that. And then what I've done is I've just drawn a template, drawn on some paper here, a little template, just to give myself an idea more than anything is that. And I've cut it out and taped it to the actual board, like so. So what I'm going to do, this is about using mixed media, i.e. we're going to be using acrylics underneath oil paints. So we'll be using a lot of different techniques and methods of how to have transparent colours, and also how to use the acrylics underneath the oils. So look forward to getting this one started for you all. As you can see, it's a really long canvas, really long. Right, what we're going to do, I'm just going to show you a few little things that I've done for my son. Thought you might be interested in looking at what we've got going on. These things I've done for my little boy, for Connor. That's basically a bat cave in there. I've made him a bat cave. And I've done all these by using shoe boxes and painting them, and using like Batman stickers and stuff like that. He's got a little tube going down into where his car is at the bottom there. He loves it, and it's so much better than buying them, because you can make them bespoke and also you can make them together. It's like we've got the bat cave there, and then this one here is the Spider-Man pad, as you can see, and that's got a few little buildings, a clock that I've still got to draw in yet, a little street area where they can have little battles and stuff against Palpatine. And he's got all his little figures around it. He loves it. He can play along with these and have lots of fun. Venom there. He knows all the names of every character, and I've done this Superman one with him, which I think is his favourite, the Superman one. He loves it. He's got all little doorways and stuff in there where you can put all characters. It's got a slide at this side of it. Daily Planet. Well, there's a slide there which comes right through there to the bottom. So yeah, as you can see, I've been spending some quality time with my little boy. So I've been on a bit of a recovery mode, and I'm feeling fresh. By the way, just quickly, beautiful photograph of my little boy there. He's so sweet, I love that picture. Hey everyone, what I've got is I've just got some linseed oil, and also I'm going to just run the colours across the screen for you all. What you're going to need to use to paint along with me on this one. I'm just going to get a little bit of linseed oil on the brush, and then behind here I'm just covering tiniest amount of linseed oil over the whole area of the canvas. First of all, I've painted black gesso on the surface, black gesso acrylics, or just a straight black acrylic would do if that's all you've got, and then linseed oil over the top of that, very very tiny amount, just makes it slick and wet. And then what we've got to do, mix up some colours. As you can see there, I've mixed up yellow ochre, burnt sienna and Van Dyke brown, and here I've mixed up a mixture of this is phthalo blue and titanium white. So I've already pre-mixed them. I've mixed all three of them together there. Now just down in here is where I want the actual brown colour to be for the building. So what I've got to do, I've got to make sure that's where the water starts. See that? I've used that as a gauge. That's where the water's edge is, basically. Up there, and there's rocks and it comes down there. So I can use that as a guide, basically, to put some of this. But I don't want to go over where the wheel is, just around there. So I'm just going to put a little bit of that colour up where the building's going to be. Just a bit in there. that brown. There. Standing out a little bit there. It'll be much darker than that. I'll put a bit of black with it. But I'm just going to put a bit of that in, just a little bit. Don't need a lot. Just in where I think it's going to be. Around there. And then that should actually stick to that. Then, by just doing that, should just stick to it a bit. There we go. Now I'm going to change brushes. Get another 1-inch brush. And with this 1-inch brush, I'm just going to use this blue colour. Because what I want, I'm not going to use a lot of paint. I just want a very light blue hue coming from up here, so it's just showing a bit of this where it's further away in the woods. You get a little blue hue in the dark. So I'm just putting a tiny bit of that blue on the brush and I'm tapping it in really hard. See that? So there's a tiny stain on the brush, not a lot on there. And then just up in there, I'm going to try that out. I'll put that down so I can hold this so it doesn't bounce around. See that? By tapping, you get a little hue of that blue into the dark, just in there, and then it blends away from that where you put it at first, and it'll just go from dark to light, from dark down in here to light up here. Just a bit of this blue tone in the woods. That goes right along, and it gets darker as it goes to the right over here, so it'll just run out of paint as you go. Allow it to just run out of paint. That's it. I'm just tapping that in. Even over that, I just want to put a little hue. I know it's noisy, the tapping and everything, but don't you worry about that. I find it therapeutic. Very therapeutic. I love it. There. See that? Now that just goes from dark down here to light. I'm very happy. You can get a tiny bit more of that. Because it's a very subtle effect, is this. It's a very subtle effect. It's easy overdone. And I want a bit of that. A bit more over there. And it'll come into the woods a little bit as well. So I just tap it away. Just like that. Now that's very subtle, like I said. It's going to stand out when you finish your painting, and it'll make sure that this part here looks a bit further away than this because it's a bit closer there. Bit of that in there. Right, that's it. That's enough for that. Now what I want to do, I want to get some sap green and a bit of black together. So I'm just going to put that out on the palette now. Just need small amounts of colour for this. Don't need tons. You really don't. So I'm just going to get a little bit of this blue, green and black. I can even put a tiny bit of blue in with that. So I'm getting some green. See how I'm not getting tons of colour? You don't need loads of paint for this. Get the green, tap it out. Touch a tiny bit of blue. Tap that into there too. And then the smallest smidgen, smallest amount of black into that, because the black will overpower it. There, and that's our base colour for the trees. A bit further away, put that down, and then just up in here, you can tap it just to give it a little texture. That's a nice thing to do. See it on the paper there, you can't necessarily see it on the black, You always see it on there on the paper, and that's when you know you're somewhere near where you want to be. Like I said, I don't want tons of colour up here. It's dark at the moment, so I'm just putting a base colour down so that when we put our light greens on, the light greens will mix with this green, with this dark green. I'll mix with it in there. But I don't need tons of it, just enough. Give it some variation, a bit of variety. Now with that, I can get some and put a little bit just down in here. In the dark area, just tap that out. Yeah, that's good. Happy. Right, so I'm going to put that away. I'm going to get a little bit of cadmium yellow out and a little bit of yellow ochre. Well, I've already got some yellow ochre out, so I'm just going to get some cadmium yellow hue on my palette. It's a really good way of painting using mixed media. You'll see the benefits of it later on in the painting. So I'm just going to pull them colours out. Put some sap green at the side of it. There, so we've got yellow, ochre and cadmium yellow. And just a little bit of green, sap green, just there. So put my knife down. Now I'm going to use this brush because it's already dirty. In fact, what I'm probably best off doing is just wiping the excess paint off of the bristles. So you haven't got too much in there and it doesn't taint your colour too much. Take out the excess paint with a paper towel like that. Keeps it all clean and tidy, and that's exactly what we're after. Right, so over in here I'm going to pull down with that bit of sap green in there and make a nice bright green. Now I'm going to tap it. Push, tap, push, and get a ridge of paint. Tiniest ridge of paint on there. And then just up in here, start to put a few little indications of some trees that are back there, behind, in the distance. There, a little bit of that. Put a bit more green sometime with it. Just a straight sap green. There. A few little bits of something going on. Just down in there. And put a little bit in the shadows. Don't kill your darks. All these dark areas in between are very important. So don't be killing it. Yeah, that's nice. Dark in the shadows. Very dark down in there. More or less using just the sap green on its own in here. A little bit of yellow. Right, so there's a brighter one. Much brighter bush. And it comes in from about there. That's the top of it. And it's got a very bright top. That's it. And you notice just keep changing the angles of the brush all the time. Right down in there, change the angle slightly. See how much brighter it is than the stuff that's behind. Might just zoom into that for you a little bit so it's a little bit easier for you all to see. Again, I'm just tapping, pushing and getting a ridge of paint, a little bit ridge of paint on there, and then I can lean over like a branch just leaning right over there. I love that. Don't kill these darks that you've got behind. Just don't do it. Be so aware of what you have to keep and what you can get rid of. Putting something a bit brighter just in that spot. There. This tree comes right down. You want more paint to come off? Tap a little bit harder. That's it. Just in there. And that'll stand out against the building there. Got a couple of little branches coming down as well. Just in there. And then it gets dark at the bottom, at the base. So let's get in there. There. That's better. Sometimes you can tap afterwards more because you can see exactly where it's too dark and where it needs a bit of highlighting. Right, now with that I'm going to get some of the dark sap green again, just on there. Tap with that, just over in here, a bit of that. Different colour tone as well, using just that green, you see. And same, while I've got this on my brush, you can even put a little bit of blue with it here and there. It's nice just to do a little bit of blue with it. And then just up in here, and just tap some of that in for the shadows. These are the leaves that'll be deep in the bushes, deep in the shadows. And it stops it from being flat, just having one layer of colour. I hope that's standing out to everybody. Just on there. Darkest areas right on this edge. Just in there. Good. Now add some yellow to that and some yellow ochre. A little bit of yellow ochre, a little bit of cad yellow together. Push, get a little ridge of paint. And with that, I just want to come up in here. There. And just add a nice little tree up in there. You can see I've got my setup. I'm using my little boy's table that he has for his meals. And I just wanted to chill out in here today, doing this. Nice and comfy. Happy. Now a bit more of the yellow ochre again into that green. Again, it keeps changing the twang of it all the time. I think I'll have a bush over there with a bit of that in. Yeah, that's it. Just by pushing, you get that little ridge of paint on there. That's all you need. Love it. Now I'm going to let it go really dark down in here, but there's some lovely leaves that come from here right over, and it's quite a nice lush green. So I'll get sap green, lots of cadmium yellow this time, more to the cadmium yellow hue with this one, not the yellow ochre side. There we go, to that green again in there, and then just up in here some really bright ones, and a few of these branches are going to like trail over the edge here of the building. See that? Just in there. Just going over to where the building is, because it's actually covering part of the roof. Is this. And then few more stuff away from it for this tree. And then we'll put a few little hints here and there, but it's that green and lush, it's beginning of the year. You can't really see hardly any sticks and twigs in there, but I always like to stick a few in. There. So I'm going to again get the brighter green and just up in there. That's it. See that little bit of a brighter yellow? That's what I was after. Set in there. Make this a bit brighter as though sunlight's just zipping in there and zinging. Especially on that branch there. Want it brighter. It's nice. Now we've got this yellow ochre one. Just want to put a bit of brighter green just in there. Nice. Pretty dark up in here at this edge. So I'm just going to pop a few little highlights in, just here and there, but it wants to be predominantly dark. Into the shadow as it goes. Brilliant. Now obviously, with this template the way it is, it's always nice to just stick a few in on the edge of that, just in there. Yeah, I'm happy with that so far. Just step back and have a quick look. A few areas where it could be still lit up a bit more even there. That's nice. A bit more lit up, you see, is that tree when I had it. That's it. Now basically, when I pull this away, you will see instantly, especially if I, like down here, I'll put a little bit of green, so there's a bush or something, maybe a little tiny bit just in there for a bush, a lower down bush, and then when I pull this away, as you can see, there you've got it. And that's all you need basically, because rest of the time I'm going to be using the palette knife. Let's get stuck in. Right, so at this stage what I want to do, I've just used that mixture that I made with Van Dyke brown, burnt sienna, a little bit of yellow ochre, and I've mixed a bit of black into it just to darken it off. And then with that, I'm just going to cut across, get a little ridge paint on the end of the knife. I'm just going to touch up in here where it's darkest, follow the knife on the edge there. I'm just going to pull some of that colour down into there. Careful that you don't go over the edge. Now here we've got a separate roof that comes along there, and I don't want as much paint on the roof area, so I can just put some of that down into there, get a bit more. You see, you need quite a bit of paint for this. I'm just trying to work out and mark out for myself, because it's shiny when you do it like this, and you can see exactly where you've got it. This part of the roof's going to be lighter, you see, and then that there comes. So I've just done that thick just at the moment, so that I can bring it along like that, and then put some of that down into there. use that full big pile that I mixed up. I pretty much use it all. So I can do the same thing in here and put some of that colour down in the bottom part, down in there. That's it. Just using the knife. I don't want too much paint in there, but I do need paint in there so that when I put the highlights on for the logs, or should I say for the planks of wood, it's got something there to mix with. Just up in here, I'm going to try and go along the edge and pull it in. There, like that. So there's a bit of paint right on that edge. Just to get accuracy, I'm using the tip of the knife and just scrolling it up like that. I've got a really bad hand at the moment. I can't really be very accurate with it. So for me now, it's all about using that heel of the knife on the just on end of here as well. I can use the heel of the knife at that side, get it on the perfect edge, touch and pull it in. Same up in there, use the heel of the knife, get it on the edge, pull it in. There we go. So now we've got the paint on there, it's time to start making some planks and actually figuring out how we're going to do the roof and stuff. I think what we'll do is we'll leave the roof till last. Yeah. Right, so what I've done, got some colour mixed up here. That's the same colour we have there, which is the brown mixture with the black, and I've pulled it through, but if you notice, it's very marbled, like a marbled effect. And that's what we need for this. We need it to have a marbled effect. Right, so first of all, I'm just going to cut across the small part of the knife some of that colour, and then just up in here I'm just going to start touching. You can even just pull it along, but we're going up into the shadows, you see, up in there. Once you've got a bit of paint on though, you can move it around. Gets darker towards the eaves, you see. Now if it gets too bright in some spots at the moment, that's irrelevant, it really doesn't matter. But I don't want it to be all too light, I want dark areas in between that. So now we're getting to a bigger area. Just going to use the side of the knife, the big part, and I'm just going to come in here and just gently tap. It's like a tap and a pull, tap and a pull. And I want to keep it at that angle there. I want the actual windows to go. I want it to stay at that angle. So by coming down here a bit first and doing a couple of these, just run it across sometimes like that. Other times you can just tap and pull, reload. You can get away with this, get away with a lot doing it this way, because the dark underneath will always mix with the light colour that you put on there. So what I like to do anyway is to not worry about it too much, because you can always go back in between bits of dark. Yeah, I just like to get some colour on there first, forget how it looks. As long as you use that marble mix, it's going to really benefit you. There. Now it comes to about, so I think, it comes to about here. Higher straight down, just to give myself an indication of where the planks, because here the planks start to go upright, here the planks are level. See that? On here they're level, so there's a big difference. So beautiful, these old watermills. Really are nice to paint, they're a lot of fun. I just keep touching here and there. Leave them dark areas in between though. Don't just kill it all. If any areas do get too bright, you'd be surprised how it works well. Because then when you go through and you put some darker lines through with the dark, you can work on any little details that you've missed very easily. Bob Ross used to have a really good way of doing it. He used to go do 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 do, and he could just do it, just perfect. I find it a little bit harder than that, but there you go. So I'll put some planks of wood in. Nice and rough. I'm not really worrying. I've been too neat with this part at this stage. For instance, what we do need is it needs to be lighter, that edge, and on that edge as well. You have to redo some of this mix now and again as well. What I'll do is I will just use the edge of the knife and just indicate a few little brighter spots on the ends there. On this side, this side. Sorry, when I stop talking, you know I'm focused. Stop breathing sometimes. Not good. Now, so I'm going to use the heel of the knife. And I'm going to actually just touch up there some of that colour at the edge of there. Just like, yeah, that's spot on, that's exactly what I wanted. Now I'm just same of up in here with this part, just touch it, come up, right, happy, we're getting there. So this stage I'm just going to keep going back into there and just putting a few more highlights in those areas. Put the windows in afterwards, I think. A few little touches just on the edges of there. Now, for this roof, it actually comes down to about there. So I'm just going to use the knife to mark that out. It's got a dark heave, so I'll wipe the knife off. Get it back to my dark colour, and then just in there, and just knock that out a bit. Just there too. Same at this side. You need a nice shadows on the eaves. That sort of thing. Happy. Just in there, I can just indicate the odd little highlight coming along that edge. Sometimes just use the paint that's on there. Just like there where there's a lot of paint, scrape a bit off. Put it back on again. That's something like similar to what I was after. It looks a lot brighter on the canvas, on the camera than it actually is in real life. Just so that you know that. In fact, what I'll probably do, just for you guys, I'll go back like I said with the dark, some of the darks learning. Just pop some darks in for them planks. I'll have a little zoom in soon and show you where it's going. But these dark bits really can help your angles and everything. Like that's a bit too straight, is I want it to be a bit more of an angle like that. So just by using that colour, mix some more up. Oh, dark that. There. I'm going to keep running out of colour as you go. Just don't worry about it, don't stress. Redo it every time. Right. Again, coming back with the darks, just to put some dark back in. That's good. Yeah. Okay. Actually go in with a liner brush if you like. Get some real details in there. Like I say, I'm not overly fussed about having too much detail. I just want it to look like lovely little planks of wood all going on in there. And hopefully that's toned it down just enough for the camera. Now we're going to have some windows in here and a door, and well, again get the bulk of it done and then go back to the details afterwards. There we go. That's it, I'm happy. There we go. Right then. Yeah, that looks better on camera. Definitely. Now then, I've mixed again. Lovely little marble mix there. So with that, little ridge of paint, and this time we're going to have to put the planks upright, you see, so they go in this way. Now, so I'll just touch with the heel of the knife, just in about there. Got an unsteady hand, and then there you go. So you can see the angle of the roof now, there, and then just here, just here, there's like two separate buildings on this. Just by running that down through there, gives you an indication, you see. If you do it this way, again, don't go right to eaves. Right guys, hope you can see that now. Just going to make this side a tiny bit brighter, and that's all I need, and then I can start putting the windows and stuff in. I can put the roof on. In fact, I might do the roof next. Definitely I'll do it. Right, so what I've done, there's a bit of brown on there still where the roof is, but I've mixed a marble mix of white and grey, and I've put it together here. Get that on the palette knife. Now this one's to go on the high spot of the roof, just in here. It's the brightest part of the roof, basically. So I'm just going to be very, very careful. I'm just going to get some of that in there. Because it's a very bright colour, you need to be very careful with this. See how I'll put it on the top edge first? Now what I'll do is I'll get a fresh roll. I'm going to come down this edge here now. I'm going to touch part of the roof there. And I'm going to get this angle. That's it. There. What you can do, just use your knife to get it a nice edge all the way along there. That's it. Doesn't matter if it comes in, I want it to come in. I'll be blocking this in, you see, with this light colour. So be so careful doing this. I just want to get the light colour on there first with the knife, and then I can come back in afterwards and make it all nice and ribbed. There. Now I'll come at it from a different angle. And I'll do this side here. So again, touch with the knife, with the heel of the knife. Get it on the line that you're after. And the same here. You don't have to get it first time every time. Just be patient. Come back in. As I said to you, I've got a really wobbly hand at the moment. So I'm having to be really careful. I normally do this easy, this sort of a painting, but it's definitely been a challenge for me this time. See, like I've messed that edge up. Don't worry about it, so easy to correct. Now I'm just going to get some of this darker grey, because I mixed a lighter and a darker colour of the grey. Get a bit of that. I'll mark off the roof line first, which is there, and then I'll come down to that with the grey colour. There we go. So that's a darker grey as you get into it. And if you just touch, like so, and just a touch and a pull, touch and a little pull, and it'll create all these lovely ridge effects for the tiles. But you see how having that lightness on the top first has made it so nice and bright. It's really helped. Get a bit more of that lighter colour. I'll just come into this area and pop a little bit in there. That's it. Doesn't have to be perfect. You can do a lot with a knife when you get used to it and you get the practice. There. Just bring that up a tiny bit more. There. Now, these little areas, if you clean your knife off, and you have little areas where you want to take paint off or you want to move it around, like just there, I just went a little bit too far. I can just go back in, touch with the knife, and get that back. Nice and easy. I'm happy with that. I can neaten this corner up a little bit. Just in there. Just touch. a bit of light into there, something like that. Don't forget the angles that the roof tiles go at. Get a little bit more of that. Try and make sure I've got enough colour on the knife to do what I need. Needs to be a full width of the knife for this. Just going to neaten that edge up. Something about like that. And then again, any little areas like there, just tidy the edges up. Nearly run out of kitchen roll now. Right, so I will come back into this and I'll put more detail in the ridge tiles eventually. I'm not too fussed right now. All I want to do for now is just indicate that there is actually some little ridges and stuff going on that end part. Something like that. Clear of it. So easy to just one touch too much and you go back into it again. No problem. Get a bit dark. Small of the knife. Gone. Sorted that out. I'm happy with that. It's a lot brighter on camera than it is in real life. I'll adjust it for you anyway. I'll let you have a zoom in now. Camera's running out of battery. There. That's looking better, you can see that better now. It's not quite as bright when I zoom in. And it's getting a bit darker towards the back, but there's still light there. Now I'm ready to start putting the windows in. I'm really happy this is turning out nice. I hope you're enjoying it, guys. Right guys, what I've done, I've just put a bit of darkening in here for where I want a bush to go. Now it's darker down in here, so I wanted it to be predominantly lighter than what we've got there. So I'm just going to gently, see how gentle I'm being? I want these to zing and sparkle in there. Just a few of them. Yeah, that's it. Just on tops of this bush. That's it. So it looks like the sunlight is zinging off there. Done that by adding a little bit of white to the tip of the brush and using the green on the inner part. There. Now that stands out separate from that. So I can just tap into the shadows a bit. Just in there. Use that side of the brush as well to get some little bright spots going on. Oh, I like it. Now what I can do is I can start to come into the shadow because it's mixed with the paint underneath, and just put some darker highlights right in them shadow areas there. That's it, just like so. So much fun to do paintings like this, they really are. It just really buzzes me up when I'm doing stuff like this. This is what inspires me. I love painting woodlands. So I'm just zinging it on ends, giving it a bit more, just on tips, a bit more leaf in there. Happy with the start of that. Probably put a few brighter ones just down in there too. Cool. Now we've got an area underneath this. It's actually a bit higher than I've got it. I'd say it's about there, coming into about there. So what I'll do, clean my fingers is what I'll do. Hi everyone, so I just mixed up a red, and this red is basically made with cadmium red and burnt sienna together for that. So I'm just going to paint a bit of that on this, where this water wheel's going. Just down in here we're going to have a lovely water wheel. So the idea is to paint it in first, like I just have, and then I can come back with the palette knife and I'm just going to come back and create some little effects in there. So the darkening we use is the same browns. Just going to put a tiny bit of white to it so it's not quite as dark. There. And that. And I'll try that, see how that does. In fact, to be honest with you, because that's so wide, I use a small part of the knife. And then, just up in here where it comes over, I could touch and run some of that dark in. There. Same again, just a bit lower. There. And you can use the knife to run right through that. Want some to stand out more than others. Get another one. About there. There. See how I'm doing that? Just using the bottom of the knife. And I'll just give us some little ribs for this water to go over. Ooh, that didn't work. Do that one again. With a fresh reload of paint. Try and get them all a similar width apart. So it's important is that it's a bit too much. Now if you do that and you get too much on, you can clean your knife off, come up in here and just pick it off. Just come back with your brush. Paint that back in, that colour. Something like that. And I'm going to do that all the way down basically. Right guys, as you can see I've just put these ribs in on this. I might actually zoom in a bit for you there so that you can see it better. It's nowhere near as bright on the camera as it is in real life. So what I'll do, I'll just use small end of the knife, and then just in between where these are, I can just brighten them up. Just here and there. In between the ribs. Like that. Sometimes in the middle I can get some highlight on there. Then it gets dark into the shadows, so I really want to highlight these top ones first. Might have to use some bright red, straight bright red on its own. And get some on the end of the knife. That end. And then just here and there. And put the brighter ones in. Now it doesn't matter if you see how like they've not gone exactly what I wanted. It's not a big deal. I'll just drag it a bit further. Right, I'll get back to you. Hi everyone. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to leave this area to dry. I'm just going to put some colour down in here. But why this is mixed media is because the colour that I'm using down in here is just acrylic basically. It's a brown acrylic. And I'm just going to mix it here and there because there's some rocks underneath the water. And by doing that, this will show through underneath. That's what the plan is. Some big boulders underneath that water in there. It's going to be quite shallow is this. And it's shallow and it's running across here and then it's crashing down when it gets to here, you see. So I'm painting these boulders in underneath the surface of the water first. Let this dry and then just going to outline that edge where is the drop off, where it flips over. Just really nice and simple. Remember, this is acrylic base paint that I'm using at the moment. Some are small, but there's some really big boulders out here which are part of this. So say we've got one big one, comes right down to there and then it drops off. So underneath there we're going to leave the dark underneath there. There's a bit of red in with this brown, just a little tiny bit of red too. There. The thing with acrylics, you always think they dull down a bit anyway. So I'm doing the darkest colour, the darkest layer that I want at the moment. And then I can highlight over the top of that, whatever I like. Some big ones there, some big chunky boulders underneath the water in there. It's pretty much rock all the way under here. So even into there, you've got boulders. Something about like so. Very rough, but mainly you can see them, the dark. And what I want to do, just add a bit of white to that, a little bit of white, not a lot, just enough to change the brightness of it so that when I come in here, see, just slightly different. Just here and there, I can put that bit of a brighter tone in, a bit more white in there. You can see a difference then. Just here and there, just put a few of them highlights, nice and fast. Some will stay in darker, some will be a bit brighter. Depends how close, high up in the water they are, really. Nice, and then down here at the basin, where the water's crashing over, that too is like, down in here, that too is going to be done. I'm just going to get some white. I've already got the brown on the brush. I'm just going to get a bit of white, and just down here I'm going to go underneath where the rocks are, up here, leave a dark shadow underneath, and then I'm just going to do some of that colour in there for under the rocks, for under the water, sorry, and let that blend out. So it's crashing down in here, and then in there I just pull it back, just like that. And the reason this is called mixed media is because I'm using acrylics at this stage underneath oils. Acrylics under oils. I'm going to put a medium over the top of this so that I can apply the oils over the top, no problem. Just here and there, just want to put a bit of lighter tones in. There. That's it. And this one here, I just want to back it a bit brighter on the top. A bit more. A bit brighter on top there. And then it'll blend it down and get darker as it goes down slightly. That's it. Nice and simple. Start building like rocks then and stuff, and getting some detail in there. Again, a bit more white in there, just crashing when it goes over that edge. It's good to do it with the acrylic first like this, and then when you come back with the oils after, it's so much easier to sort out. There we go. There's a lot of white in there, a lot of frothiness and stuff going on. So I'm just going to use that brush and get plenty of colour in there, knowing that it's light. The oils will still stand out, coming over the top of that. There's no worries about that, and then gently allow that to work its way back up there. Something about like that. I've done this slightly darker so that when I eventually come in to sort it all out, I can go a bit more refined with a bit more detail. Hi everyone. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to leave this area to dry. I'm just going to put some colour down in here. But why this is mixed media is because the colour that I'm using down in here is just acrylic, basically. It's a brown acrylic. And I'm just going to mix it here and there because there's some rocks underneath the water. And by doing that, this will show through underneath. That's what the plan is. Some big boulders underneath that water in there. It's going to be quite shallow, is this. And it's shallow and it's running across here, and then it's crashing down when it gets to here, you see. So I'm painting these boulders in underneath the surface of the water first. Let this dry, and then just going to outline that edge where is the drop off, where it flips over. Just really nice and simple. Remember, this is a acrylic base paint that I'm using at the moment. Some are small, but there's some really big boulders out here which are part of this. So say we've got one big one, comes right down to there, and then it drops off. So underneath there we're going to leave the dark underneath. There. There's a bit of red in with this brown, just a little tiny bit of red too. There. The thing with acrylics, you always think we dull down a bit anyway. So I'm doing the darkest colour, the darkest layer that I want at the moment. And then I can highlight over the top of that, whatever I like. Some big ones there, some big chunky boulders underneath the water in there. It's pretty much rock all the way under here. So even into there, you've got boulders. Something about like so. Very rough, but mainly you can see them, the dark. What I want to do, just add a bit of white to that, a little bit of white, not a lot, just enough to change the brightness of it so that when I come in here, see, just slightly different. Just here and there, I can put that bit of a brighter tone in, a bit more white in there. You can see the difference then. Just here and there, just put a few of them highlights, nice and fast. Some will stay in darker, some will be a bit brighter. Depends how close, high up in the water they are, really. Nice, and then down here at the basin, where the water's crashing over, that too is like, down in here, that too is going to be done. I'm just going to get some white. I've already got the brown on the brush. I'm just going to get a bit of white, and just down here I'm going to go underneath where the rocks are, up here, leave a dark shadow underneath, and then I'm just going to do some of that colour in there for under the rocks, for under the water, sorry, and let that blend out. So it's crashing down in here, and then in there I just pull it back, just like that. And the reason this is called mixed media is because I'm using acrylics at this stage underneath oils. Acrylics under oils. I'm going to put a medium over the top of this so that I can apply the oils over the top, no problem. Just here and there, just want to put a bit of lighter tones in. There. That's it. And this one here, I just want to back it a bit brighter on the top. A bit more. A bit brighter on top there. And then it'll blend it down and get darker as it goes down slightly. That's it. Nice and simple. Start building like rocks then and stuff, and getting some detail in there. Again, a bit more white in there, just crashing when it goes over that edge. It's good to do it with the acrylic first like this, and then when you come back with the oils after, it's so much easier to sort out. There we go. There's a lot of white in there, a lot of frothiness and stuff going on. So I'm just going to use that brush and get plenty of colour in there, knowing that it's light. The oils will still stand out coming over the top of that. There's no worries about that, and then gently allow that to work its way back up there. Something about like that. I've done this slightly darker so that when I eventually come in to sort it all out, I can go a bit more refined with a bit more detail. Right guys, I'm just going to show you how I've done the spindles for this. So I'm just going through some red, tiny bit of the burnt sienna together. So it's burnt sienna and bright red together. And then what I've done is I've just here basically used 2 pieces of masking tape so that I can paint the spindles in, and it's not going to affect how it looks. Take the tape off, and then that's one spindle, and as you can see I've done the rest in there. So yeah, happy with that. Now what I want to do, I'm going to get some brown, bit of green, bit of red. These are acrylics I'm using. Bit of red, bit of black, tiny bit of black, you don't need a lot of that. But trying to have a good dark colour basically. Put some green into that, bit of sap green, just a good dark green basically, and then a good dark brown, sorry. And with that I'm just going to put, I've got a little rock just set out here, so I'm just going to put some browns in for that. It's also where that rock is, it actually comes down past there and across here. Put a bit of darker black towards the bottom end of that rock. And I'm going to use some highlight colour, some light colour in there, mix that with some light, and then over the top we've got a boulder that's coming down there. And then there's some dark areas. I'll make that brighter once it's dried. At the moment I just want to get some of this highlight on in here. Actually comes through into there as well. There's a bit of sunlight glimmering off of that. Just there. Just a bit of sunlight zinging off of it. We would have that because this bush here is getting a good amount of sunlight too. So underneath this we can put a bit more of the brown. So I'm just basically putting some good darks in here and some light spots for the top of it. I've also got another one that comes under it, and it goes into there and then down. The highlight came off on the bottom side. I didn't want that. I wanted the highlight to be on this top edge like so. There we go, that's better. And then that can come down there. There's a few boulders and a few bushes in between that. And then that's more or less down to the water's edge. Just in there. Again, you'll get bits of light showing off here and there on the tops of the stones where the light's just catching it. There we go. Happy? Hi everybody. What I've this area where I painted all over with acrylics, and up to about here where the rocks are and stuff, that's all been glazed over now. It was done with acrylics, left to dry, and then I put a thin even coat of linseed oil evenly over the surface of that. Now what I'm going to do, I just want a bit of light showing on this river before we start making it rush and stuff. I'm going to go back in and do this area, this bit of stonework, but for now I just want to get a little bit of, mix two blues with white, a blue colour with white, and mix two different grades of it. So we've got a lighter one. I'm just going to go into the lighter one first. Don't need a lot of paint on the brush. I want this to be pretty transparent basically. Just up in here. There, see that? That's all it takes. You want to be able to see the rocks and stuff that you've done underneath still. So don't apply too much pressure. And what I've got, another clean brush there so that I can actually blend it out afterwards. The more you blend it down, the more transparent it becomes. So just over here I want a little indication of that, just in there. And I'll just give a little bit of light on the surface of the water. And here and there where it's a bit too white and you want a bit more blue, you can just go into the darker blue and just gently go over that, and it'll just give it a bit of a better blue hue. There we go. Just enough in there. Now you can actually put a little bit just in there. You'll still be able to see the rocks underneath, and that's the key to doing this. You want to still be able to see the rocks that are underneath there. There. Do it and leave it alone. Because I'm going to have a lot of rushing water coming through here. So I'm just there. Something like that. Bit on there too. Now, go back to my clean brush. Just in here with this, get my clean brush, and I'll just pull down gently with that clean brush. And what that does, it just thins the paint out enough so that it's transparent and you can see through it, just see through it. Same over in here, put a bit of that in there. I'm going to have this water is moving over the top of these rocks. But for now, I just wanted to get a bit of that in. There. That's right, something like that. And then I'm going to get a fan brush, just a small one. Just a small fan brush. And I'm going to go into that lighter blue and a bit of white. See that? A light blue, very light. You don't need a lot of paint when you're working with no undercolour. This is dry underneath, so you don't need a lot. You just want to get some movement coming on with this water. There's going to be some rocks in front of this, so you find after you get a little bit of paint off first, just work where you want them to be and put a bit of paint on. And you'll find even tapping out on a paper towel sometimes, so you don't have too much paint on there. Let's have a look at that. There, that's better. Right, and I want to work the way down with that, and just let it zing down there, down in there. I know, like I said, there's going to be some rocks in there, bring some little dewars coming through, but leave these little areas where you can see that rock still through there. Don't just kill it all, you want to still be able to see some of that. Right up in there. Get a bit of movement going in there. Like I say, because it's transparent, you will still see all them lovely rocks and lovely boulders, as long as you don't overdo it. Little is more really when you're doing this. And any rocks that you really like, you can leave in there intentionally. Just want to put a bit of something coming over into there. Don't want no dead set lines though. I want it to be quite mute. Just up in there with this little filbert brush, and just pull down a few little bits of light in there. Just about like that. That's good. Now I want just in here to be a bit of movement coming in to there, and it goes to that. I'll paint this rock back in if I have to do. I'm not too fussy, but I want a lot of water to sip down back of there, just down in there. So get a fresh load of paint. So you can get the brighter stuff over the top of the transparent stuff as well. Now just in here, what we've got is we've got a waterfall, but it's not a steep waterfall. Coming at about that angle there, something like that. Normally you get them coming a bit steeper, but that's when there's more water. There's not too much water in there at the moment, so it's not that deep. That's why you can see the rocks through it. So when it's deep like that, you tend to find that it works its way over. That's coming in between a rock there and a rock that's going to be there. A bit more of that lighter blue in there. And just here and there you can just make it a bit brighter, give it a bit more movement. See in there where it's going to rush over, just over in here, just going to let it just rush over that rock and just drop down a bit. There. Same over in here. I know there's a rock there, but I want it to actually slightly work its way over the rock. So I'm just going to blend some of that in, even in there, and then I'm just going to come along and down, along and down. Just get a little bit plopping over the top of that rock, just in there. And then underneath where that is, what you want to do is get some of the light colour, tap the brush into the paint, and then just under there where it's crashing most, I've already indicated it with the brown. I'm just going to use the corner of the fan brush. You can even just use an upward motion like that sometimes. But I'm just going to tap some really foamy white water rapids in there. So you could do even your own white water rapids with this. It's your world. Alright, I'm going to have it quite as bad at the edges. And in there we've got our water level where the river starts. It's coming in to there a bit. And in here, sometimes you can use a upward push like so. Just in there. I want to leave these little dark areas in between. And in here, you want to be able to see that rock sometimes. So I'll leave that rock colour here and there. And I'm just going to push up like so. Making it crash and bash and all kinds of things going on in there. That's it. Now we've got it going. Now we've got some movement. Like that. Just back in here when I've run out of paint a little bit. So when I come back in here and just put the slightest of indications of something. Some little ripples going on. There. And then them other stuff you put before will be underneath that. That's going very well. Again, I'm just going to add a bit of that blue in. A bit more of the bluer colour, the darker blue. Just here and there, and then right back to the light blue. Over the top. And just tap it into it. And then just start underneath where this is. What I'll do is I'll just pull it out like so, gently, just allow it to come out. That's good. Sort of thing that I'm after. It's going over a little thingy, there's a little eddy and it's just rolling over there, and then afterwards I'll come back with oil paints and I'll paint the rocks in between. Something about like so, maybe put a little bit of something down in there, just coming off the edge of there. There, that's it. Happy? Happy. That's good. Now, just behind here, I've got some rocks and stuff like that going on as well, under the water. I just want a few indications of some light because that'll show in between the rocks. They're going to be just at this side. That's good. Right then, so see this little wall here? It's hard to see right now. I'm just going to put some dark brown with the palette knife over the top of that. I know I want it to be quite thick. Just bring it down into there. I want it to have texture. Same in there. Just bring it down. Get a little thin layer of oil paint on there. And I'm going to use a small side of the knife. And then just where the wheel's going to sit, I'm going to pull down just into that. Just there. Just this dark brown oil paint. So then the colours that you put over the top of it, the highlights, will actually mix with this paint. That's what we're wanting. Want it to mix with the paint. There. Right, now with that, there's some rocks around it too, I can see. So just around the base, just in here, and indicate some rocks and stuff, just with the dark brown alone, just in there. Got some nice boulders and rocks, and it comes up to about there. It can be quite thick, this. Quite thick. Yeah. That's it. Also, while I've got that colour on there, I can come in here and there's a rock that comes right out from here. It comes along and down to there. Just a nice big boulder. You need quite a bit of paint when you're doing this. I'm right at the bottom now, so I should probably raise this canvas just to make it easy for the knife, but it's only going in there, so that's fine. Just a rock. And the water's going in between this rock here I've put in, and another rock that we've got in here, which comes out into there. It's not a flat rock. In fact, I'm going to use the detailed part of the knife for this, because I don't want to go too far, so I'm being careful now here to make sure that I don't cover all this white up, just there. That's it. And then with a big edge, and just bring it down. Don't go over this part. That's one rock there. I'm going to use the end of the knife and then put another rock just in there. And I'm actually going to go over this rock slightly with oils so that I can get it in there better. We're going to highlight a lot of this stuff we're putting in now. That's it, just for this stage. You can always put some more rocks and stuff in there. I'm going to use a small part of the knife. And there's a few rocks and stuff just in the surf there. A few rocks together. Just doing them with a palette knife like this is nice. Just splits it up so it's not as bright. That's a bit deeper in there, but you want some of these little boulders and these little rocks going on just up in here, especially at the edges in there. Right, now highlight colour. I mixed up a marble mix of white with this colour. So I'll just clean off the knife with a paper towel. I'm going to get that highlight colour, put across it with the knife, and then just on the top edge there. In fact, I'm going to use a small part of the knife. It's quite finicky. Is this? And I'm just going to run it across. So there's like a nice highlight on the top of that, just there too, and then same on top of that. So you touch it and then run it across like so. Right, and then just with that same colour, there's a rock straight directly underneath it that's highlighted, right underneath it there. See that? So I'm going to use some of that colour to highlight these rocks just in there. Use the end of the palette knife here and there as well. There's some individual rocks actually as well. And then just want to blend it down slightly to the dark. There. That's good. Again, wipe the knife off, clean it off completely. And I'm going to go back to my filbert brush. So with the filbert, I'm just going to go into this bit of burnt sienna first. Burnt sienna and that brown. Just in there. Because there's paint on there already, it should mix with it. See, it's a bit bright for the start, and then the more you do it, the more it'll actually mix with the oil paint underneath. Just want to make it look like it's got some little stonework going on in there. Don't want to be too bright, so when you start mixing it with the oils like so, you lose a lot of the brightness and it just looks like little stones. That's good, I'm happy with that. Now, just with a knife, to finish off, just going to get that highlight colour that I mixed up, some of that on the knife. I'm just going to very gently graze over the surface of some of these rocks, just on the tops and here and there. Pretty dark though. Sometimes when you get a good amount on like that, use your end of your knife, you can just work it just like that. See, I'm working it about and using that pigment that I add on there to highlight certain areas, and then I leave other areas dark. There. Same with these. Again, shaking my leg. Don't need a lot for these. Just a little indication. I might have to reload. Yeah. Some are lighter than others, some will stay pretty dark. Like that one in there. I want it to have quite a bright top to that. I can just touch that in there. So this is mixed media using acrylics underneath oil paints. So one last thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to get some straight titanium white. I've actually run out, but I don't want to have to start the camera again, so I'm going to put it out on the palette and then finish it off. So the water that I've done, you will see afterwards, it's pretty transparent when I show you close up. So all I want to do is use straight titanium white oil paint, pull it out, tap your brush and then tap it into it like so, and it'll pick it up just on the ends of the bristles. See that? Now that is brilliant for these crashing, smashing waves that are crashing over there. That's it. Not everywhere, just in between here, where it's coming in between the rocks, and then just tap that out into there, into the rapids, and it'll separate the blue that I put on underneath, and it'll also give you some lovely highlights for the water, for the crashing of the water coming in there. Because it really does crash and smash all over the place. It's violent. I'd love to do a river run on a rapid river. It'd be great. Fly down on top of them on them inflatables. That'd be fun. That'd be a lot of fun. if not a tad scary. Happy. A little bit of foam and stuff just in corner. You always get that bit of foam and stuff. Now, just in here, just want to put some rapids. Just right at the bottom of the canvas. Just there. But don't kill all these areas, leave your darks as well. Now up in here now and again, I just want to touch, push and get a ridge, you know, like we do, a little ridge of paint on the end of the brush. Now here and there, where it hits a rock, it'll have a nice ripple afterwards, and that's something that you can do. Finishing details, stuff like that. That's it, and it'll really just make it zing in there, just on top. See that? I love it. Now just under there, I'm just going to put a trickle, because I haven't got this water wheel working today. There's no water running over it. See that? Just under where rocks are. And in some of the dark spots, it's nice to do it too. Just a little bit of foaminess. But don't destroy what you've already done that you like. Right, I'm pretty happy. Thank you everybody for watching. I really enjoyed doing this for you all. Why don't you all just take care, have a go at this, give me a bell and let me know how you get on with it.